President Uhuru Kenyatta landed at Kisumu airport this morning at the start of a 2-day official tour of Nyanza. For those who believe that people actually turn in their graves when a major event happens, then they can be sure that Jomo Kenyatta, founding father and first president of the Republic of Kenya, and indeed the father of Uhuru Kenyatta, must be turning his grave, as his son Uhuru lands in Kisumu. Folks, this tour, this visit is extremely significant, and it is impossible to understand just how significant it is without getting to know a bit of history, which we will touch on in a little while. Now, very interesting, the usual protocol is that when the president lands somewhere, anywhere in Kenya, is normally welcomed by the deputy president, and then the host, after that. However, when Uhuru landed in Kisumu, he was welcomed first by the host, Raila Odinga. However, it is also true to say that this does not surprise or will not have surprised close political observers, because this is the chain of command in the country currently. Raila Odinga is not even in government, but there is absolutely no doubt on the minds of many that Raila is second in command. This opposition leader is extremely powerful in today's Kenya. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Now, Raila Odinga and all the other people, Kalonzo Musyoka, etc., flew into Kisumu ahead of the president's visit. In other words, they flew in and waited for the president to land so as to welcome him. Now, before the president's Kenya Air Force aircraft touched down, Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto had a bit of time to chat. And the chat looked very amicable. But then this is politics. Since the days of Julius Caesar, when Brutus, Cassius, and all the other characters were smiling happily at him, while reorganizing themselves to position themselves on his back, to start stabbing him several times. Since those days, politics has never changed. In modern politics, you don't use a real dagger. You find other ways to stab your political opponent that will hurt him a lot. And in many cases, these stabs, these political stabs, are much more painful and are worse than an actual knife stab. And that is why reading body language in these instances will help you a lot not to get confused. The body language between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta is unmistakable. These two men are very close. They might as well be joined at the hip. The hugs are very genuine and straight from the heart. In fact, the hugs between Raila and Uhuru are not political. They're beyond political. What I mean is that these two men are very closely emotionally attached. This is King David, and Jonathan, the son of King Saul. Yep, it is clear that the souls of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are literally knit together. In my view, that is extremely good news for the country called Kenya. And I'm not talking about current politics. I'm saying it is good, especially because of the events of 25th October 1969, right there in Kisumu. Let's very quickly touch on the events of that day. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with history. Let's very quickly touch on the very significant game-changing events of that Saturday, in 1969. And those taking in this channel are especially fortunate, because on this channel we had a man on the ground on that particular day. So we are not dealing with any second-hand accounts of what really happened. We are dealing with the real thing. Yeah, and of course our man on the ground was my late political lecturer, who was a senior police officer in the area. Yeah. Now normally when a president visits a particular part of the country, the local police act as his backup security. That is precisely how it was in those days, and that is exactly how it still is today. And just like today, the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, father to Raila, went to Kisumu ahead of the president in order to welcome him. And he did this against the advice of those who were close to him. He was advised to stay out of Kisumu completely during the president's visit because that visit was all about him. That visit was designed to fix him politically. Well, if there's one thing about Jaramogi, he was no coward, and he hated the very thought of any whiff of cowardice being connected or attached to him. So Jaramogi was there, and things went very terribly wrong. Now Jomo never flew in an aircraft, and so the day before this Kisumu event, on the 24th, Jomo was in Kakamega. For those unfamiliar with Kenya's geography, Kakamega is beyond Kisumu if you're coming from Nairobi. But it's very close to Kisumu. An hour's drive. I should know because personally I have a long history with this particular stretch of road. Because it was on this stretch of road, from Kakamega to Kisumu, that my mother developed labor pains, to give birth to me. Now, my late political lecturer was at a lunch in Kakamega where Jomo Kenyatta was. And for years, until his death, he talked about that afternoon. My late political lecturer was very familiar with Jomo. They had met several times. The most memorable was a day when Jomo Kenyatta summoned all the police chiefs from all the provinces in Kenya to State House to give them one of his regular dressing downs when he was unhappy about a certain security matter. And on this particular visit, the president, Jomo Kenyatta, started his address to the police officers with half a joke, which nobody dared laugh at. Jomo, in his booming voice, started by saying, "I summoned all of you here deliberately at short notice because I wanted to see who would fail to turn up." That old man, I'm telling you. The old man then proceeded to tell off the police bosses to give them a proper dressing down, complete with his piercing, bloodshot eyes. But when he had finished, he treated them to a lunch, a sumptuous lunch of several courses, usually reserved for visiting dignitaries. That was Jomo for you. Anyway, on this particular day, the president arrived for this luncheon, which was ahead of his visit to Kisumu immediately after that. And when the president sat down to have his lunch, my political lecturer says he looked very troubled. According to my political lecturer, Jomo had quite an appetite. But on that particular day, when they sat down for lunch, the soup was put in front of Jomo. That's the first course usually. And Jomo just sat there. And then he picked up his spoon, took 2 or 3 spoonfuls into his mouth, and then he suddenly got up. That was the end of lunch. Even for my political lecturer, who also had quite an appetite. And he joined the presidential motorcade to Kisumu. Now, there are a lot of false accounts that were deliberately put out there by the government concerning what really happened. One account claims that the presidential motorcade was blocked as it entered Kisumu. yeah, by people shouting, supporters of Jaramogi shouting, Dume, Dume. Yeah, Dume was the slogan for the KPU, Jaramogi's party, Kenya People's Union. Now the procedure, yeah, for when a presidential motorcade is blocked all over the world is the same. And it is very clear. You clear the road by all means possible. Because you have to assume that blocking the presidential motorcade is the beginning of an assassination attempt. And over the years, many Kenyans have bought this account as the reason for the massacre. Not true. Nothing like that happened. There were shouts of Dume, Dume, yes, but nobody blocked the presidential motorcade. President Jomo Kenyatta had gone to open the hospital in Kisumu, popularly known as Russia, because it was built with the Russian funds, the Russian backers of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And of course, this was during the Cold War, where if you are financed by the Russians, you are the enemy of America. But this happened in Kenya because in those days, the Kenyan government had a brilliant foreign policy of non-alignment. That meant, at least theoretically, that they could shake Russian hands and at the same time shake American hands. Anyway, after Jomo officially opened the hospital, which by the way stands till today, and it is the same hospital in which yours truly was born. After that, there were speeches, and Jomo told off Jaramogi. After that speech, in what was clearly a very orchestrated, choreographed move, somebody threw a plastic chair at Jomo. The chair never got anywhere near Jomo. One of the security people there held it, grabbed it in midair. Now you know there's a very huge difference in the way people react to something which happens unexpectedly. In sharp contrast to the way the same people would react when something happens that they're expecting to happen, that is in fact a signal for them to do something. Now, the way the security personnel close to the president reacted, was clearly in a manner to suggest that the throwing of that chair was a well-organized, prior-arranged signal. And you can see a photograph on your screens right now of that chair. In fact, you can see the security person who has grabbed the chair, and you can see the plainclothes, security detail of the president going for their guns. In fact, one of them already has his gun drawn, and his eyes are eyeing who to shoot dead. And you can clearly see from the expression in his eyes that he's looking forward to doing some killing. The number of people who died that day, innocent wananchi, is a state secret. To date, it is not known. But it also includes school children who had come to entertain the visiting president. What happened next to Jaramogi gives you the answer, the objective of this choreographed bloody event in Kisumu on October 25th, 1969. Jaramogi's party, KPU, was banned. Several of its members were picked up and detained without trial. Jaramogi himself, probably because of his closeness to Jomo Kenyatta, because this was politics, it was not personal, because of his closeness to Jomo Kenyatta, was placed under house arrest. And from that day, Kenya became a de facto one-party, single-party state with no opposition parties. And until his death in 1978, August 1978, Jomo never again visited Kisumu, although he remained president of Kenya, and Kisumu is in Kenya. And that was the beginning of heightened animosity from the residents of Nyanza towards government, which was again reignited after the presidential polls of last year, August 2017. You can now understand exactly what I meant when I said Jomo must be turning in his grave as his son, his biological son, visits Kisumu in a very big way once again. But you can be sure the son of Jomo is very comfortable in Kisumu. And one of the reasons is a very interesting incident. It wasn't reported in the press, but my people on the ground captured it, which happened a few weeks ago in Kisumu. The president was going to Kakamega for the governor's conference, and he landed in Kisumu. Now, to go to Kakamega from Kisumu, you will have to pass a place called Kondele. Now, during the election troubles, Kondele was an extremely hot spot. Many people were killed in the Kondele area in post-election violence. 2017 post-election violence. And so as the president was passing through Kondele, there were wild cheers for him. And he came out of his vehicle. And the very friendly youths in this area insisted on escorting him on foot, on the road from Kondele towards Kakamega. This stretch of road leaving Kisumu towards Kakamega, through Kondele, is about 1 kilometer long. And the adoring youths of Kondele told President Uhuru he doesn't need his security. They are going to be security. And they said they want to make sure that the president crosses that area safely with maximum security from the Kondele youths. I'm telling you, politics. And that is precisely what the adoring youths did. They escorted the president on that stretch of road, surrounding him. And when they reached the end of the stretch of that road, they respectfully said, "Sir, we have escorted you and you have arrived safely. Safiri Salama." And they released the President of the Republic of Kenya with wild cheers. Now that was not planned, that was not organized, that was spontaneous. And that is why I'm saying the president in Kisumu today and tomorrow in the Nyanza area will be extremely comfortable. The only person who may receive jeers and boos and harassment from the crowd is of course the Deputy President, William Ruto. Yep, that's politics for you. I'll of course keep you updated on this very significant visit, and I'll talk a lot more about it in subsequent videos. But for now, I'll have to leave you to digest what we've discussed in this particular video. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.